So, welcome everyone. It's good to see you. So as this week we're discussing the third stage on the path, which is silent present moment awareness. All these stages that we've been discussing so far, the preparation, 3 points of preparation, which are the posture, which is supposed to be upright and relaxed, the breath, which is supposed to be comfortable and deep, the attitude, which is supposed to be kind and compassionate, the way you treat yourself. The first stage, all about allowing the body to come to rest, settle, letting go of the nervous energy of the day. The second stage, which is a natural result of the first stage, is arriving in present moment awareness, not wandering off into the future and the past, but thinking about things that have been or might become. And when that deepens, and finally we come into the third stage, which is silent present moment awareness. The last time, on Tuesday, we've discussed how silent present moment awareness comes about, how it is arising at the preceding stage, and what it essentially is. Simply an absence of talking to yourself in your own head, an absence of thought, an absence of verbalization, commentary, narrative, however you want to call it. So there's no words in your head. You're still aware of whatever comes into the gates of your senses. So you might experience sound at that stage, you might experience feelings in the body at that stage, you might experience smell or taste, you might experience thought, movement occasionally happening in the form of images, for example, etc. So that is all still possible. But what we're really letting go of here in that stage is talking to ourselves. And of course that's a major point. If you're looking at your normal day-to-day life, and you will find that this is what we constantly do, talking to ourselves in our own head, right? Something happens all the time. You might be the case, bless you, might be the case that there is no awareness yet, then you might not even notice that you're talking to yourself in your own head for most of the day. As you practice more and more meditation, you will also find more and more, as you're trying to concentrate your mind, for example, on the breath or something, it doesn't just work like that. Why? Because you're telling yourself stories, all kinds of stories. You think about other people, you think about yourself, you think about your life, you think about your future, you think about your past. Most thoughts are about future or past. We could actually, I think it's safe to say that all thoughts are about future or past. Even if you're thinking about something apparently present, like let's say you're listening to the fountain and you're labeling that water, fountain, I'm listening to the fountain. At that moment when you're talking to yourself, there's a split second where you're forgetting the sound of the fountain. You're not listening to the fountain, you're getting absorbed in the voice in your head. And so you're talking about something that just happened a second ago. I've heard the sound of the fountain. If you're really, really listening to the sound of the fountain in that moment, if you're truly present with it, you don't have time to talk to yourself because you're busy listening. Does that make sense? A listener doesn't talk. At the moment when you're listening, you're not talking. For any serious spiritual practitioner, anybody who is really into meditation practice, it is about really developing the skill of listening, of having golden ears. You can also call it the skill of seeing. It's the same thing. So we're cultivating our awareness, the ability to pay attention to something as it's going on. I think in this world, awareness or attention is the highest good. This is what you find fulfilling when somebody pays attention to you. You like that. We all like that. And we all have various ways of trying to make that happen, and people pay attention to us. Because it's such a nice experience when somebody receives you in their awareness. And this is the same, by the way, if you are receiving yourself in awareness. You are paying attention to yourself. It is just as fulfilling as if someone else would pay attention to you. It's the same thing. Because the magic ingredient is attention. So if you're paying attention to ourselves, or if we really pay attention to something, the mind has to kind of be quiet for that moment. We have to shut up in order to listen to someone else. And I mentioned last time, most people feel strange. If somebody fully listens to you with 100% attention, they don't even have an inner voice, an inner monologue or dialogue. If they are fully present with you, most people feel a bit strange. It's like an overdose of attention. Somebody's paying too much attention to you. It's almost feeling like they are looking right into your deepest, darkest secrets. They're looking right through you. They understand everything about you. And there are such people who have that power. They can look through all of the guards that you're having. They can see right through into your mind. They can see right what's going on because they really pay attention. If you're even paying just a little bit more attention, you start to understand people on a deeper level. But most of us can't understand people because we're already busy preparing our next thing that we are going to say when the other person has finished their thing. We can't wait for them to finish because then I can talk. So most of us are not really listening at all. We're not very good at paying attention. Because that's something that we need to train, paying attention. Like when you're washing your hands, are you then fully washing your hands? Is your mind in the body at that time, or is it thinking already of breakfast, dinner, lunch, the meeting with your friends that's about to happen soon? So you don't even wash your hands. Your mind is already somewhere else. That means a lack of attention, and that's the normal state for most of us. I really like the statement Eckhart Tolle said one time, we just have barely enough mindfulness so that we're not bumping into stuff. And with phone news and so with our smartphones, it's getting worse and worse. People hold them up while they're walking, they're in their cars, looking at the smartphone, on their motorbike sometimes. You see people looking at their smartphones, their attention is completely somewhere else. It's horrific. It's really bad for the mind. It makes you anything but smart. It makes us have ADHD, it makes us dull, makes us not able to sleep, etc., etc. And so there's no benefit in that. So that mirrors actually the way we use a smartphone. It mirrors very much the way we are mentally active. It's this quick flicking through things, browsing, moving on, swiping up, swiping left, swiping right. Not really anymore, really paying attention. Not even truly reading through articles that you might see posted somewhere. Just kind of flying through them. There's even like apps that encourage that. Like the top CEOs in the world, they read like 60 books per year. Now you can read 60 books per day. And you just only get this kind of like essence of every book. So you can kind of just like flip through things. It's an overkill of information. What are we going to do with all that information? We're not even digesting it anymore. It's like putting in food and more food, but not digesting it at all. Information has to be digested. It has to take time to settle and move from the brain into the heart, if you will. And so with that fast-paced lifestyle where our attention just flicks through things fast, we have no more patience. We can't wait anymore. As soon as we wait, we need to distract ourselves. We can't be with ourselves anymore. We can't even be on beautiful places anymore, just being at the beautiful place. Not for the sake of branding ourselves, not for the sake of, going there to do something, but just going there to be there. This is because our attention is moving so fast, and we're training that every day in and out with the things that we are doing. So actions are obviously very important. What we do and also what we not do. So the way we structure ourselves and we build our lives day by day has an impact on the way you feel. If you're happy or unhappy, then why are you happy or unhappy? Well, look at the way you act, mentally, emotionally, physically. See what you do, that it's there, the cause of your happiness or the cause of your unhappiness. It is in your actions, the way you act. And if we do not have mindfulness, we don't see how we act. And so that mindfulness here that I'm referring to is just basic presence. Being here in the body as you do things. So you get a fair chance at actually designing your life. You can't do that. Otherwise, if you're not mindful, then you simply react. It's just reactions going on, just impulsive reactions. There's no choice. Advertisers, they make use of these impulsive reactions. I've mentioned that before many times, how a supermarket is structured. Everything has a point. What's placed on eye level, what's placed lower down, where you need to go down and make effort to grab it. It's the cheaper stuff down there. You have to make effort to grab it. The way a shopping cart is shaped is not an accident. The shape of it is not an accident. You have some fun, Google it. It's mind-blowing to what great details the advertisers go to make something, to make you make a choice. That's what advertising is about. They condition your brain, your mind, your nervous system so that you make the right, quote-unquote, choices. And then the whole magic with that thing is they give you at the same time the illusion that you're free to make a choice. That's a masterpiece. And it works so flawlessly, it's amazing. Otherwise, why spend billions of dollars to do that? It just works so flawlessly. We're so easily manipulated. It happens right now, by the way. You're being manipulated. You're being brainwashed. I'm making advertising for meditation. These sessions are just that. They're advertising for meditation. I'm advertising the fact that you are able to find happiness within yourself. And happiness that is independent of circumstance. That is true happiness. It is not a happiness that comes from utilizing anything outside of yourself, from being dependent in any way. It is freedom. And that is precisely what I'm advertising here. The pure joy of being here. And the even deeper experience of bliss or happiness when you're here without commentary. Silent, present moment awareness is beautiful. It's a wonderful state. I think that is the very gateway to spiritual practice. It is that inner silence. It is, you're ready, you're listening. You are humbled into silence. If that is not a given, spiritual practice is not happening. You might be sitting there and theoreticizing things, or having the impression that you understand stuff. Yes, we're all awareness, everything is one, blah blah. It is not a true deep realization. You might get the smell of honey, you're not even tasting it. You might talk about it, think about it, and have some impression that you get something. That is not realization. The deepest realizations come when the mind becomes quiet. That is why we do this. This is why we give it time to allow it to settle down, to let the mind get all the stuff out. Let it vomit it all out, if you will. It's like having food poisoning. The mind has food poisoning. It needs to get all the stuff out. It doesn't have any opportunity, though, because we keep feeding it with stuff like the whole day long. But it's already sick. It's already so full. Overkill, overload. The mind charges in silence. The whole point is, when you're entering silence, is to give the mind power. Silence empowers the mind. It charges the mind. So how do you know an empowered mind from a mind that doesn't have any power? That's very simple. An empowered mind is happy. It's the experience of happiness and well-being and joy, creativity, having good ideas, being sharp, focused. You get a mind that is easy to be used for any task. There is a saying, I think it goes, the mind is it's a terrible master but a wonderful slave. So, in other words, you can make use of the mind. The mind is a tool. But if the mind is making use of you, in other words, if you're just reactively going through life, just reacting to stuff, whatever comes up, you just react to it, not even knowing what's going on, you're the tool of the mind. And with that, you're the tool of your past. Because the mind is conditioned in your past. Your upbringing, the books you've read, people you hang out with, the media you consume, the experiences you've had, they all shape the mind. So most people are literally prisoners of their past. Because they don't know what's going on. They don't see, because we do not cultivate that seeing. I'm just giving you some reasons why we should actually sit down and practice meditation, why this is meaningful endeavor and good activity. This activity of waking up, seeing clearly. So there are 3 ways that I would like to introduce you to actually taste silence. 3 very easy ways, and we went through them today in the meditation practice. The first one is watching out for the gaps in between thoughts. Maybe let's start with another one. Let's start with kindness. Let your mind talk. Okay? So that's a kind thing to do. If you from the beginning try to somehow establish silence by getting rid of thoughts, you're not going to be successful. Like every thought that comes along, you're just boxing it away, trying to get rid of it, trying to block it all out. That will not work. It's the wrong approach. So in the beginning, be kind to your mind. Tell your mind, dear mind, you want to get some stuff off your chest? That's your time. Let it all out, buddy. And then you just sit there. And then you just let it talk. And you listen. Isn't the listener already silent? So in the beginning we don't notice that, yes, because we are very much absorbed in what the mind talks about. But gradually you come to notice that, oh, wait a second. It's actually not a problem. The mind can talk. Just let it talk. And if you tell your mind, dear mind, go ahead, knock yourself out, talk, you'll be surprised that the mind has not that much that it comes up with all of a sudden. But if you told your mind, for the next 2 minutes, do not say a word, be quiet, you'll be flooded by stuff, the most random stuff. All kinds of things suddenly come into your mind. Old songs that you've long forgotten, dialogues, going through scenarios. The more desperately you try to get rid of it, the more it happens. Why? Because you are in a mode of resistance. You're super tense inside. And because you're so tense, the mind vibrates at a very high frequency. And it pushes out all that garbage. Because you create that experience of tension. You're limiting the mind. It's almost like you're putting something, a being, into a very tiny, small room. And then in that room it has to it can't really move anymore, so it just shivers in the corner. There's no more freedom. So it desperately makes a ruckus, it tries to get out. The mind is the same. If you try to limit it, you push it and you control it, it'll give you a resistance, it will push back. So kindness is the first one. Dear mind, anything you want to say, be my guest. And whatever your mind comes up with. I want to have dinner now. All right. That's okay. You're just really kind to it. And in the beginning you just have this kind of attitude, just allowing it to come up with whatever it wants to come up with. And you will see that after a while it starts to slow down. It comes up with less and less and less. It's just no more necessity to come up with anything. So that's one way of attaining silence. Now in the life outside, when we are together with other people, very often you have that person that you're in a conversation with and they talk a lot and they tell you all kinds of things. Let them all get it off their chest. We call it compassionate listening. Let that person empty their heart. Because deep down inside, that's what we're all looking for this sweet emptiness. That's where happiness is. So people talk a lot because they want to get it all off their chest. Give them that space. That's generosity. It's kindness towards other people. And you're just there listening, letting it all empty out. Ajahn Brahm gave this beautiful story. He said one day someone came to him, I think, and said, or he said it, like, us monks, we are like trash bins. People come to us and they throw all their trash to us. All the things, their hardships, their relationship troubles, all that, they just bring it to us as monks. And then he says, oh, I really like being a trash bin because I have no bottom. And that's really beautiful statement. It really points to that compassionate listening. No matter how much, I have space for it. But if you have no space, in other words, ego, you're quickly fed up. You can't take much because you have no space. The definition of no space is ego. You're just being a tiny little self versus the rest of the universe. having no space. So giving space to things is the very act of kindness. Giving space to yourself, your mind, your thoughts. Let them come, let them go. Why take it so seriously? Some people are so serious about meditation. It's, oh God, I had a lot of thoughts in my session. It's, yeah, all right, that's fine. We all do. Can you relax with that? Can you let your thoughts dance? Let them just free. Let them free. Liberate your thoughts. Many people say it the other way around. I wish I was free from my thoughts. No, you just need to let them go. Free them. You know? I wish I was free from bad things in the world. Much better to free the world from me. Less me, less drama, less problems. More me, more problems. So that's kindness, yeah? The first technique. The second one is then watch out for the gaps. When your mind goes then and talks, let it talk, and then look, there will be little gaps when one thought ends and before the next one starts again. That's silence. And here gives you a kind of an opportunity to explore that, and these gaps will become longer and longer and longer. And in those gaps you have like a playground. You can explore how is it like actually to be alive here without a voice in my head. How is that like? It's a fascinating state to be in actually. It's like you had a radio running your whole life long and suddenly someone turns it off. And for the first moment it's like you're here without noise. It's a weird, strange, different kind of state. Explore it, discover it, dive into it. So that's the second technique, like looking for the gaps. The third one is to look through your thoughts, to understand them for what they are. They're nothing but holograms. They're nothing but a mirage. They have no substance. They have no essence to them. They're just empty, space-like processes. There's nothing to a thought. You can look at any thought you're having. While it arises and while it passes, you will find nothing substantial. It is impossible to find anything substantial. You can look at your thoughts. See, is there anything substantial to the thought itself? Or is it just word after word after word after word, feeling after feeling after feeling after feeling, then word again, word, 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 word? It's nothing but words, just coming and going. Why are we so scared of our thoughts? Many people are scared of their thoughts. Oh, I have so many thoughts. How do I get rid of my thoughts? I can't sleep because of my thoughts. They're so evil. I have so many evil thoughts at night. I can't sleep. Well, look at them. They're nothing. There's nothing there. You don't need to be scared of your thoughts. You can look right through them. See, can you find the center of your thought? Have any thought you want. See, can you find its center? Where does it even exist? Where even is its location? If you really look, where is the thought located? It is nothing to find. You can't see anything properly there because it's nothing. The more you can see that, the less you will be carried away by the apparent noise of a thought, the more you will rest in the underlying silence of the listening. So then you're just seeing, thoughts come and thoughts go. There's nothing to them. There is deeper silence. You're totally undisturbed by them. A being that is undisturbed, completely undisturbed by thoughts, there is already silent. You're like the sky, as I mentioned in the meditation. it is not disturbed by clouds. The sky has no problem with clouds. It doesn't need to get rid of them. It doesn't need to arrange them. It doesn't need to manage them. It does not need to take them seriously or not. Even it's just there. It's normal. Clouds are normal. They come and they go. So why not just let them come and go? Why get absorbed in or identified with holograms, with empty apparitions in the mind that have no meaning, no essence, just repetitive stuff. Electricity firing in the brain. Why does that scare us so much? So we can't even look. But you can. The beautiful examples that Tibetan masters often give is that thoughts, if you have a little dog here in the room, for example, and you have a stick and you throw a stick, the dog will go after the stick and get the stick and bring it back to you. And you do the same thing again and again and so forth. So you can play with the dog for quite a while. Now if you take that same stick and you throw it at a lion that is nearby, you do that only once. Yes? Or maybe the lion just is so confident in his power that he doesn't even bother. He's just throwing a stick, yeah, what? No problem for the lion. So your thoughts are the same. They're constantly throwing sticks at you. Now the question is, are you a dog or are you a lion? We're constantly playing with nothing in our heads. We're absorbed and completely taken away by nothing. The whole day long, fabricating entire worlds, dreamlike, empty in essence. Being totally carried away by them, swept away by them, taking them totally seriously, when it's really nothing. So in order to see that your thoughts are actually nothing, you have to have quite a stable mindfulness. You need to already be quite adept in meditation practice. You need to be able to see deeply. Otherwise, quickly you're taken away from with your thoughts, and you go into another train of thought. You board all kinds of trains. Mindfulness keeps you on the platform. You're not boarding trains. You see them come and go. You rest quietly. So this is the three gates in order to see deeply into silent present moment awareness. And this is how to deal with thoughts. And the dealing here goes quote unquote. It's not a real dealing actually. There's nothing really to deal with. It is a liberating in the beginning. Just be nice to your thoughts. Let them dance. The second one is look out for the gaps. Shift your attention away from the apparent problem to the solution. And the third one, see right through the apparent problem. See that it is no problem at all. So you start to relax about your thoughts. And when you relax, your thoughts disappear. They have done their job. So that's all that comes to mind for today. Are there any questions?